Firstly, one of the saddest tales, I think, in the book, surrounding one of the most talented or gifted, I think was the word that you used, fighters that the country ever produced, hailed from Jamaica, and I'm talking about Kirkland Laing.
Yeah.
Who had that career from 75 to 94 when he went out on that defeat to Glenn Catley. And the fight against Roberto Duran. Quite incredible, from arguably you'd say from nowhere to taking on one of the legends of the ring, even at that time. And it should have been the platform for him, surely, to go on to huge global success, a lot of money, and a great life. But it never happened.
No, we think that he fought when he beats Duran, and most people you speak to in boxing say, "Oh yeah, but that was a past Duran." Well, hey, was it peak Duran? I don't know, but he had some unbelievable fights and wins and made fortunes after that. That wasn't a faded shot to bits Duran. And it was also wasn't a Duran who was in bad shape and had taken a fight at 2 weeks' notice. We know, and we knew at the time, and you can read the contemporary reports from the newspapers, the American newspapers, and I've compiled those over the years because I particularly like this fight. You can read the contemporary reports. And Duran was, he was aiming to get in the mix with Leonard again and with what's-his-face, Hearns, and Hagler was on his horizon, all stuff that did come to fruition. And, and Kirkland Laing fights an unbelievable fight. That's a great fight. It's not a guy running. It's just an incredible fight. It's one of the greatest wins ever by a British boxer overseas. Certainly the greatest win by a British boxer overseas in a non-world title fight. And Kirk then vanishes. Well, he doesn't really vanish. He just goes to Hackney, hangs out in his flat and smokes as much dope as possible. And he watches all these things fall apart. For there's another reason. There's another instance, a guy who should be fighting for a world title gets incarcerated. I write about him in the book. And then Kirkland Laing, who's still getting stoned, has to watch as Roberto Duran steps in and wins the world title. Against Davey Moore, a guy called Davey Moore at Madison Square Garden, and makes a couple of million, and then 18 months later or whatever it is, gets 10 million for fighting Marvin Hagler, and Kirk eases his way back, goes back to America and gets brutally stopped. He ends up being hospitalized for $2,000 or $3,000. And by the time Kirk's cleared his head, Duran's back in the mix, having made $25 million since they last met. And Kirk's, basically penniless. That was a mad meeting that I write about in that book. It was a 10-minute film I made for the BBC. And it got me in all sorts of troubles. I write about it in the book because Kirk's family, basically after I interviewed, I tracked Kirk down. It took me 2 days to track him down. It's an amazing story, all true story. I've got my BBC regulation stab vest on and I'm out on the streets of Hackney at midnight. Eventually track him down, pay him a few quid, buy him some beers. We get drunk on a bench. Lovely story, wrote about it in the paper. Massive, beautiful 10-minute film. Should have won an award, wasn't even entered. I mean, if you watch that now, it's the most beautiful piece of film. I love it. It's the only thing. It's the greatest thing. It's the most proud of anything I've done in my work life.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, you can track it down. Yeah, I've got hundreds of copies on CD, but there's no volume on them. I've literally got 50 copies with no volume. So if you want to play some music and watch it when you're drunk, beautiful, I can send you a copy. But it's no good if you want to listen to my words. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So Kirk and I make this film.